Welcome back to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest running sales training podcast history. I am Bill Caskey.
I am Bryan Neal.
And we are so happy and pleased and proud to be with you today. We have awesome listeners. We just did a post here a couple weeks ago where I asked you for just any kind of topic because we are celebrating our 17th wedding anniversary. Now, our 17th anniversary of doing the podcast this month in September. We started in 2006 and we're still here.
I love you said 06.
Still here.
That's fantastic. What a ride it's been, huh? 17 years. I talked about us today with one of my clients. Said, if you want to see if there's anything I'm learning about when I'm getting older of like magic secrets to life, it's consistency, man. Yeah. And I said, Bill and I have done one episode for 17 years. Mm-hmm. And then there's this kind of this is like a group of about 25 different salespeople from different companies. I'm like, a couple of you came from the podcast. Then then one guy goes, I came from the podcast. So did I. I'm like, see, Yep. Yet it's just from consistency. I mean, that's really what it is. I'm not saying our show isn't very good, but
no, but it's,
years.
That's a long time. I mean, that's
true. That's true.
That's 1,000+ episodes. That's a lot to ask. And it's only because, like we said before, we enjoy each other's company. We enjoy doing it. I learn from you. Hopefully you learn from me. So it's not just us spitting out data and counsel. We learn from each other. And I had a client yesterday who was talking about posting LinkedIn video. And I said, look, you can't look at the mentions and the comments and the shares and the views. You have to say, every time I do one of these, I get better at communicating, whether it's communicating value or just communicating to a camera or communicating to you or to our listeners.
Yes.
I think we all just get better when we create content, and you don't have to do 1,000 episodes to get better. But you have to do some. And I do think that's kind of a byproduct of all this.
I love the just.
We should be really good by now.
You'd think.
Really?
So we get some good equipment finally.
That's right.
Well, it's awesome. And I'm so happy and so proud, and I love working with you and love doing the podcast, love our listeners, all that jazz. So in the spirit of that, we do the little rant, kind of the upfront part. So before we get into our topic, our topic is going to be about old sales techniques, tactics, things that still work today.
Okay.
Tell the story. Right. Get into that topic here in a second. Here are a couple of, I'm watching the news, paying attention, just like, flipping through. I'm like, interesting things that news writers are saying just makes me think here. So this one was about a shooting. But, we got a lot of shootings in our country. Good, right?
Okay.
And as the news reader gets done with the story, it says,
segue.
The police spokesman said that some sort of argument led to the shooting. And I'm thinking, what leads to a shooting that isn't an argument? Like, hey, dude, what's up? Not much. You having a good day? I'm like, no kidding. Like, I'm trying not to cuss, but I'm like, really? Some sort of argument. Now, of course, there's some tragic things where people just walk in and start shoot, but
that's right. That's rare. That's
99% of the shootings.
I
would think
start
with some sort of argument. Very generic term there. Very very technical police work there. Apparently, some sort of argument led to the shooting. Like, really.
I'm also thinking that usually some sort of substance too.
Something totally. Yes.
Alcohol leads to the argument, and the argument leads to the shooting. But let's call it what it is. Did you ever watch Making of a Murderer, Stephen Avery? Did you ever watch that?
No, I've heard about it. I never watched it.
And now there's a new one out that talks about how Netflix left out a lot of pertinent information when they did their documentary, because it kind of left you up in the air, like, did he do it or not? And he sent to jail for it, so he was convicted. But a lot of people, they have these groups like, oh no, I don't think he did it. And then you start to look at the family structure of this guy.
Oh wow.
And these are cousins marrying cousins. It's sad. It really. We watched first 2 episodes last night. I said to my wife that I can't watch anymore.
No,
it's depressing. And they never mentioned alcohol, but there was always like this. Yeah, they sat around and had a few beers. No, they sat around and had a lot of shots.
Yeah, had a lot of beers. A lot of beers. There's so here's another news read that I thought was interesting. So the entire company, United Airlines, 100% of their flights got shut down for like 24 hours.
Right.
And as the news reporter is sharing this, they say some sort of computer glitch caused the system-wide shutdown. I'm like, is it really a glitch if it shuts down 1,400 airplanes and
Just a
puts
small
20,000
thing,
people, it's not really a glitch. How about some sort of computer massive failure or some sort of computer meltdown or some sort of computer catastrophe caused the system-wide shutdown? It's not like, whoopsie daisy. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I unplugged that. That's my bad.
Yeah, we sent him to runway 3 instead of 4, but it's
whoopsie daisy. Oh, I'm sorry. We figured it out. Yeah, TJ accidentally turned the 6 strip off when he was making it always shuts off when he does the microwave in the break room. Sorry about that. Little glitch.
Right,
Carry on, planes. I'm like, what are we doing? Anywho, there's more, but I'll stop there.
That's good. Okay, topic today.
Yep. So I said we're going to talk a little bit about like maybe some old school things that work. This is inspired. Our sales team is working to sell something, and it's like a sponsorship event thing. So as a deadline to it, we're a little behind. So we said, let's pick it up a notch. So we're getting a little bit, doing what we teach, trying to be more assertive out in the marketplace. And we've been doing a lot of stuff like most people do through email. Right. So you email someone, you'll exchange, maybe you don't, follow up, maybe send, and then maybe like a video or something. So we're doing our normal stuff. And, we still have some gaps to close. So one of our sales team had the great idea to actually pick up the phone and call somebody. And they called the person, and the person answered, and they had about a 20-minute conversation and closed the contract literally within an hour. And this person said, what a great reminder that some of the old school stuff that we used to do still works.
Yeah.
And so it just got me thinking, what are some things that we've been doing this a long time, 17 years, that we always taught, and maybe it's not cool to say that anymore. It's not cool to say, pick up the phone. It's cool to say like, use a, automated
email. They're clever.
We
get too clever.
Yeah, too clever. So I just thought we'd talk a little bit. And this is a good reminder for our listeners. And some of you, the old school doesn't apply because you haven't been in sales more than 6, 8, 10 years. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on what have we gotten away from? What's the lost art here?
Well, I've got one, and you've got that one. Do you want to go deeper into the call? I'll go. This is not a cold call necessarily.
No.
Because these people have been acquainted with you.
Yes. This would be a friend of the firm, so to speak.
Yeah.
But there were kind of 2 parts to it. Number one is just picking up the phone and calling the person's cell phone. I think sometimes people have a hesitation, even though they have someone in their contacts, their cell phone. Well, that's a little intrusive. I don't want to. So what are you supposed to call then? The landline? Like we got to get rid of it. There is no landline anymore. There's no home phone. The only phone is the mobile phone. So if you have someone's mobile phone number, most people do, and you're stuck or whatever, pick up the phone and just call them. And I think part of the problem here, and I think this is a little generational, I think people are afraid that the other person is going to answer.
I do too.
I think they're afraid they're going to answer. And what do I say when they answer? Are they going to tell me no to my face now? Am I going to stumble and stammer?
Yeah, it's a lot easier to get no response on email. It's a lot easier on your ego than have somebody tell you no to your face. But but I think that you just said it too. It's like, well, let's get clear on the tone, on the message, on what is the purpose of this outreach. I'm not going to call it cold outreach because it's not. But what's the purpose of it? And as long as you're detached from the outcome, that call is going to be fine.
Yes.
Even if 100%. They say no, you're not. The trick is not to seek anything. You're just really making a connection to see if this person is interested in this thing that you have. They may or may not be, but
so good.
Yeah. So I guess the messaging also is important when we do make those calls.
And I know the person that made this call was in that frame of mind. Even though we're pushing for a deadline, we're not in a desperate, like we're totally fine cash wise. It's a great event. It's just like we got a space. Like, shame on us if we don't give someone the opportunity to be in front of this really awesome audience of buyers. And that's the mode she was in. And they did a deal. And they got super creative really quick on, like a little bit of cash, a little contingency. Like, let's do it. Done. I was really impressed by it.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's another one that I think we missed too. And this probably is a result of, the pandemic is just get out there, just show up in the game, be in the game. And the game might be volunteering at a church board or networking events. Okay. But still, maybe you go to a couple of those. I went to an event the other night for a county event that a friend of mine was speaking at. And I met people I hadn't met before. And a couple of people said, hey, I've watched you on video, or I've watched your YouTube channel, and let's get together sometime. If you show up, physically show up, you'll be surprised at who you meet, who you see that you haven't seen in 10 years, because nobody showed up there for 3 or 4 years. And now it's time to go back and show up. So I just call it get in the game, just get in the physical game. And it's good for your soul, first off, because you're around people, and you don't have to go to these events hoping and thinking I'm going to collect 7 business cards. You just go and be yourself. And it's amazing what shows up.
I'm picturing you. Well, I'm sure you were a starter most of your basketball career, but I'm picturing you get in the game like the tear off sweats. Did you have those? Tear off sweats. Yeah. Like coach collars down, points down, Caskey, whoosh, tear off sweats, running the game. I love the visual of that, get in the game.
And I wore my basketball uniform to this event too the other night.
So, what number were you in college, by the way?
32. I was 32.
You're 32? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that turned some heads too.
Yeah. Still fits. That's the good news.
It does fit. It does fit. No, I didn't. But that's a good one. That's
don't
be afraid to reach out personally on a phone. Yep. And now, if it's a cold call where they don't even know who you are, that is a little tougher. And I don't know. The thing is that we know enough people, and and our listeners know enough people. Just look through your data. Just look through your contact list and say, you know what? I haven't talked to Bryan in 3 years. I'm going to pick up the phone and call him.
Yeah.
And if it goes to voicemail, that's fine.
Then it does.
Use a voicemail. Say, look, we haven't talked in a couple of years. I've just thumbing through my contacts and realized that. Give me a call sometime. And they do. Great. They call back.
And you put yourself in the shoes. Now, aside from someone like you had a bad relationship with, or something went wrong. But if you've got someone from your past that reaches out of the blue, if I hadn't talked to Bill for, we worked together and then we hadn't talked for, 6, 8, 10 years. I said, hey man, it sounds crazy. We haven't talked forever. I was just going through some contacts, and I'm like, I haven't talked to Bill Caskey forever. So I thought I'd drop you a line. Love to hop on phone, catch up, tell you what's going on, see where you're at, and say hi. Yeah. People feel good about being thought about, don't they?
That's right.
So you're listening to this as a salesperson. Think of all of the former customers that you dealt with, where you had a good relationship with, and you haven't talked to them for 6 months, 8 months, 2 years, whatever. Just call them. Yeah. And just, hey, be a blast from the past. I love that messaging. Blast from the past has been so long since we talked to Bryan Neal from, selling podcasts. Like, oh my gosh, Bryan. That's
and
great.
if you're still leery about that, or if the person is maybe far enough back that they won't know who you are, but you still are an acquaintance, you can also send an email, but don't send an email blast that's got corporate jargon in it. I mean, make the email, and I know that email isn't necessarily old school, but it's getting there. Just email them with a friendly, something human, not a blast from your marketing department.
Yes. And
the same thing could apply. It's like, hey, Bob, haven't talked to you for a while. Hope all is well. Here's my calendar in case you want to jump on a call. I'd love to catch up. I have no agenda.
No agenda, right?
And just let it be. You can use email and still do an old school, just catch up call, blast from the past call. Yes. I like blast from the past. I'm telling you, people love to be thought about. They just do.
Yeah. And my last one, I'm going to kind of combine two here because it is a two-way street here. I think part of the lost art of we used to do, but I'm not saying we were always really good at this, but we used to do better at this than I think we do now, is asking for help from other people. Just simply saying, hey, Bill, can I ask you for a favor?
Yeah.
Or, hey, Bill, I need some help with something, or I'm looking for some connection help. Physically outside, like when you're like doing what Bill said and you're in the room, do that. You can do that via email, but to say, hey, I've got a connection favor to ask. And just give people space to say no, but man, just got to ask for that. And then this is the best part. This is the karmic boomerang. Always, always, always. It just came from a lunch. It was kind of like financial private equity dude. He said, how can I help you? Mm-hmm. Which I appreciated. Here's the trick. That lost art is you have to have an answer.
Are you ready?
You got to have an answer for when someone says, how can I help you? I said, here's a way. Here's something I need some help and some advice on from the world you come in. It has to do with aligning with private equity firms and how that, I love some guidance and coaching on that.
Yep.
He's like, 20 minutes, talk.
Yep.
Awesome. Yep. Got to ask for help and then be ready to answer the question if someone asks you, how can I help you? You got to have an answer. Lost art.
Here's my last one. I like all three of those. Here's one. And this, this might not be, well, it's pretty old school. Remember back in the day, we used to invite people to an executive briefing. We used to
God.
fax out. we used to.
We had so much fun watching the fax machine come through.
Exactly. I've got 3 more. And then only half the people would show up. But the point is there that is get in the old school mindset of inviting people to something. And not a one-to-one breakfast. You can do that, but create an event that you can then make these calls and invite them to. It could be a webinar, it could be an online thing, it could be a panel discussion, it could be, an event, a physical event where you rent out the Ruth's Chris and have 10 or 12 people there. I think we don't invite people to events. And whenever I get invited to an event, which I rarely get a personal call inviting, but whenever I do, I go.
Yeah.
I feel like if that person took the time to call me, as long as it was a legit event, not how to use 900 numbers to get rich.
There's an old school call.
There's an old school. But
from my 1-bedroom apartment, I
made
just Google from my 1-bedroom apartment, 1-900 numbers.
Yeah.
It's clean. It's not bad. It's Don. What's that guy's name? Don LaPre. He
there was a guy.
Passed away. Don. He passed away by his own accord, I believe, unfortunately. Anyway,
I think he did.
Well, I'm trying to figure what he said.
Decisions.
Died by
suicide. Got into an argument, got shot.
No, yeah, exactly. An argument led to the shooting.
But think about an event. If you could hold an event virtually or physically, just find a way to invite people to that, because those calls get a lot easier to make if you're inviting somebody to something that's meaningful versus just catch up and then you're pitching something, which is fine again, but I like having a purpose to invite people to something. I think that's a lost art too. I don't think we do nearly enough cold outreach to fill a webinar. We don't, we should.
Right.
And this is a good reminder to do that, because I could probably fill 50 seats of a webinar just calling people from my cell phone whose contact information.
Totally. Just inviting them to something. Yeah. And then double these up. Good. That's a good episode.
Yeah. So
there's really good ideas in there for you that are, been around a minute. I like the cutting edge. Yeah.
Just to review, we got pick up the phone and call somebody.
Yep.
If you're not able to, if email's not working, pick up the phone as long as there's an acquaintance there. Yep. 2 is get in the game. Go physically out and be with people.
Yep.
What was your third?
Ask for help.
Ask for help.
Be ready to answer the question, what can I do for you?
How can I help you?
Yep.
Yeah. And then create an event. It's, Gary Vaynerchuk always says you can be at somebody else's party or you can host the party.
That's it.
And I think we've got to get back into hosting parties, hosting events. I've got a person in my group, high achiever group, who's a dental guy, and he has events in different cities.
Yeah.
And he calls up people and he also emails, but he fills that thing. Every quarter he'll go to Charlotte and have an event, puts 20 people in there. It's high leverage because you're speaking to 20 potential clients. It's a little bit of labor. I mean, there's a high labor to it too, but it's a whole lot better than one person at a time. Plus, when you're on stage, you kind of have a little bit more authority there. So just think about an event that you could host and invite people to it.
This is one you listen to on the loop. Repeat this one and put these ideas into action. I promise you, they will pay for you.
Absolutely.
Pay for it. Yeah, they'll pay to you, I should say.
So if you have a comment or happy birthday, we're going to do the next episode. We're going to look at the LinkedIn. I did a LinkedIn video where I asked people for topics, and we're going to go through that next episode. So if you did recommend a topic, make sure you tune in next week and we'll have that for you. And if you haven't already gone to the LinkedIn post where I talk about some of the things that we're doing, happy birthday stuff, go to advancedsellingpodcast.com/LinkedIn. It'll take you right to the group.
Or send us an email, listener@advancedsellingpodcast.com. Get our email going again. Old school, see?
And send us an audio. Send us an audio.
Oh, it's even better.
Yeah, happy birthday. You can sing to us.
Happy birthday audios. We'll say that in the next one, too.
You can write a poem for us.
All right.
All right. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.